We are back at the Big Money Big Daddy Show on this Thursday afternoon. We hope everyone is having a great Thursday. This is Dale Pieper, joined by my partner in crime, Mark Conley.
It's October, man.
I know. So we are talking about just kind of the young professionals, up and coming, or just early on in your careers. We're kind of talking about what you should be doing in the world of financial planning. Are you hiring someone to actually look at the different things that you have going on in life, or the things that you will have going on in life? Because a lot of times when we're sitting down having conversations with millennials or people that are just getting started with their career, a lot of times they just look at us and like, I don't know what you can even do for me because I don't have anything. But there is a lot of things that we can do. And obviously the last segment we talked about just student loan debt, because a lot of times we see the young professionals just coming out of college and they've got significant student loans. So we talked about what are the things we can do. Obviously we can consolidate those loans. We can figure out what's the most efficient way to pay those back. So those are the things that we talked about in the last segment, but other things that young professionals can do that I always say, the first thing, just get organized. That's one of the first things. Student loans, and we're going to talk about some other topics, but just backtrack for a minute, just put together a website that organizes everything that you have up to this point, that it just may be student loan debt or credit card debt or whatever that may be. But at least now that piece of the puzzle is all in one place. And so you can actually dial in, look at it and say, okay, here's how much debt I've got. And then we can start adding in all these other pieces to the puzzle, because you're going to have goals, you're going to have objectives, and whether that's paying off debt or if that's accumulating money for retirement or if that's buying your first new car, your first new house, those are all things that we're trying to build these plans around. And a lot of times the young professional thinks that they don't need a financial plan, but putting together that organizational website that we talk about quite a bit on the show, that goes a long, long way in putting you, I always say, someone that hasn't done that versus someone that has. It just puts you so far ahead of those people that haven't done that.
I mean, we've gone and we've been talking out like Baylor College of Medicine for, really 20 years. And it's interesting to see the ones that right off the bat hired us, said, I want a total financial plan. I want to know, and I realize I don't have any money to invest, but let's at least just do the basics, do the benefits I've got through my employer, do a retirement plan, and come up with how do I get debt-free pay down plan. And then there's the ones that said, I'm going to do all that. I'm try to do it on my own, and I'll be back in 10 years. And it's a monster difference. The ones that waited 10 years are way behind versus the ones that technically, thought they didn't need financial planning, but said, all right, fine, we'll meet with you guys. It makes a world of a difference. So do not equate financial planning with money to invest. They are two different things. Investing money is part of a financial plan, and we want to get you there as quickly as we can. That's why normally on this show, that's the majority of what we talk about.
Yep.
But yeah, you got to be careful and understand what really goes into a financial plan.
Yep. So other topics young professionals are looking at. Obviously you talked about the investing. So obviously we're going to educate them on how to invest. That's part of what we do. We're very big on education. That's why we do the radio show. That's why we do our monthly coaching that we do every month. So we're very big on education, but usually the first big thing that most young professionals are doing is they want to buy a house.
Yes.
So we have conversations of what's the best way to structure your mortgage.
Yeah.
And we don't sell a mortgage either.
Yeah. So you're looking at your student loan debt. So, I guess if you think about it, you've got the credit card debt, which we can just go ahead and say that's terrible. We got to get rid of it as quickly as we possibly can. Then there's mortgage debt, which is super long-term debt. And then there's the student loans in the middle. And you've got to handle all those. And, the mortgages is a conversation where we just go over the options of, do you want to pay it off sooner? Do you want to have a longer-term mortgage? What enables you to get in the house that you can afford and that you're going to be happy with? But we also don't want people to make, the biggest mistake that we see young professionals make is they buy too big of a home. I mean, that is the number one mistake that we see is too big of a home, which of course they think is what's going to make them happy. And they realize, you get used to it pretty quick.
You live there and you vacation there.
Yes.
So hopefully it has a nice
as you go into the front door, you go, look at my beautiful home. And then as you go through the back door, you go, and here's my vacation. But, generally, just kind of give you a rule of thumb. I mean, at current interest rates, if you're buying a home that's more than about 2.5 times what your income is, you're getting in the red zone there, start to get into the danger zone. And then you've got to come up with a mortgage plan that's going to work for you. If you finance it for longer term, okay, you've got low interest rates. So assuming that let's just say you could get a 4% rate. Well, you got to remember that that's tax deductible. That depends on your income and some other factors. Your CPA can tell you that, but normally it's going to be tax deductible to some degree. So maybe that really only costs you 3.5 or 3%. So by paying it off more quickly or getting a 15-year mortgage, yes, you are not paying that interest cost, but what are you foregoing? You're foregoing the ability to invest those dollars. So what rate of return could you get if you invested those dollars? Well, I mean, that depends on the risk you're going to take. It depends on you as an individual investor and how you invest money. But let's just say that you could get, 5%. You could get 5, which is a hypothetical rate. And by paying off your mortgage, you were saving 3. What's the better deal? Well, the better deal is to invest the money. Now, that math is undeniable. Okay, there's no doubt about the math that goes behind that. Here's where the issues come into play. Saying, oh, that sounds great, so I'm going to get a 30-year mortgage, I got a lower payment, and now I'm going to go buy the brand new BMW, that doesn't work. You would have been better off taking the money and got a 15-year mortgage or paying it down more quickly. So you've got to take into account your behavior. I think behavior gets lost with financial planners, and that's something we think it's one of the main factors of coming up with a good financial plan that's based upon your individual situation. Is you've actually got to figure out who you are when it comes to money so that your plan works with what you'll really do. Because a bunch of spreadsheets and a bunch of numbers is meaningless at the end of the day if you don't execute. And so that's why we have to look at the mortgage and we help everyone have an understanding of it. We review whatever offers they've gotten from other places, and we co-create the plan together and work together with the plan.
And be aware what's out there. Just know what your profession is, know what kind of deals certain banks may give you because of your profession. A lot of times we see that, working with the young professionals, we know that certain banks give certain professionals, lower interest rates, or they, eliminate the PMI, or, you can put down less as far as a down payment. So those are all things that you should be aware of, but a lot of times you're not because you don't do what we do for 50 hours a week or, whatever. So that's where, once again, hiring someone that does a good job, that does a thorough job, will actually be able to give you advice. And that's what I believe that Wealth Design Group brings to the table compared to a lot of the other financial advisors out there. They're not going to take the time to make those recommendations or give you those introductions or even know what other banks are offering. They don't take the time to do that.
Yep. So really it's interesting because when we talk about young professionals, it seems like most everything we're talking about has to do with debt.
Right.
Credit cards and student loans. And now we've talked about, mortgages, but you need a professional to do the analysis. I mean, when I talked in the first segment, the student loans, you either keep them as they are, or what most people don't realize is there are some refi options that are out there from different banks where you can get lower interest rates. Now, there's some downside to that potentially, if you have government loans, you could be getting rid of some of the benefits of the government loans, but you need to understand the advantages and disadvantages so that you can choose the right thing for you to do. And see, what a lot of people are unaware of is there's actually government debt forgiveness programs that are out there. And if you're going to work for in certain places or nonprofits, or there's all kinds of clauses, you might actually be able to get the debt forgiven in a 10 or 20 year time frame.
That Santa Claus is, or just he's gonna bring you a debt forgiveness.
Hey, and the government can change it whenever. Sometimes the government can be Santa Claus, right? But those are the types of programs that are out there that I think a lot of times people are unaware of, or they don't know how to do the proper analysis, and they stick their head in the sand because they just got a mountain of debt, and they don't have a plan to become debt free so that you can actually get to the point where you're investing, because that's where you want to get. You want to begin to build wealth and be able to put enough money in your 401k plans at work to potentially get all the match that's there. I also find a lot of the young professionals, they've left a few jobs and they just have money sitting at all these different companies in their retirement plans, and they hadn't even done anything with it. They have no idea that consolidating those monies, you can build a more efficient portfolio, which can better manage the risk. It could help them increase their returns. It could just simplify your life from a behavioral standpoint, so that you've got one place from which you can make the changes that are necessary. So, see, what else do we have that they talk about?
So we look at your auto insurance. A lot of times we take a look to make sure that the insurance coverage that you have on your car, or it could be your home, those things need to be at proper levels, because a lot of times it might have been the original policy that maybe your parents bought when you were 16, and it was just state minimums because they were trying to keep the cost down, or who knows. And so you need to take the time to actually look at your car insurance. Don't just make the payment every month and assume everything's good. Understand what you have, what you're paying for, and is it structured in your favor, or is it structured in the auto insurance company's favor? So those are things that we will take the time to help you understand as well. We'll take a look at your deck pages and say, okay, here's the amount of coverage that you've got if you got in an accident. Or, an easy way to think about it is a lot of times we'll look at it and someone may only have $25,000 or $50,000 worth of property damage on their auto insurance policy, and then they're driving around Houston. It's very likely that you could get in a wreck with that brand new BMW that you just talked about, and it's worth $100,000. Well, if your insurance only covers $25,000 or $50,000, guess who's on the hook for the difference? You are. So you've got to make sure that the coverage is at an appropriate amount, and look at your deductibles too. Emergency reserves is another thing that's important to make sure that you've got. But if you've done a good job and you've accumulated enough money in your savings account and you've got a $250 deductible, did you realize you can actually increase that to $500 or $1,000 deductible, and your auto insurance rates will actually go down? So Geico's probably not very happy about what I'm saying on here.
But don't worry, they're going to out-advertise us. They got that down.
But those are things that you need to be aware of, and we will point those things out to you. And once again, we don't sell your auto insurance. We're not going to sell you homeowners insurance, but we will give you the information that you need to know. And now you can take that back to whoever your auto insurance agent is and have them make those changes. And you will see that it will actually bring more money back into your pocket. Now you can pay down your student loans, you can pay down your mortgage, you can have more money to spend and do whatever that is. But those are things that we bring to the table, or we can refer you to a broker and they can actually just go shop the market for you every 6 months or 12 months when your policy renews. So those are all things that you need to be doing when you're going into the working place.
If you want to take a look at what an example plan is, what is entailed in putting together a financial plan, all you have to do is just give us a call at 713-826-0426. We're happy to set up a webinar or a face-to-face meeting. We're located we've got offices in the Galleria. We also have offices in Sugar Land, and we're happy to sit down with you and just show you what this looks like. Understand, get an understanding what your goals and objectives are. Help you kick this thing off right to put you in the most powerful position possible very quickly early on in your career. And so this is what we're seeing with young professionals, and we're here to help. Another way to learn more is to come to our next coaching session. That's going to be on October the 20th. We're going to be talking about, is your money manager a sociopath? In other words, can someone be stealing money or mismanaging your money? What are the signs to look for? How can you make sure that doesn't happen? Just text the keyword daddy to 72727.
Big money, big daddy.